The Adamic covenant, this is the covenant made between God and Adam. You'll find that in Genesis chapter 3, verses 14 through 19. Genesis 3, 14 through 19. So you might want to press the pause button in the lower left of the screen and read verses 14 through 19 carefully in Genesis chapter 3, and then press play once again. Okay, so the participants in this covenant would be Adam and God. Now, Adam is a representative of all of mankind, so any judgment that fell upon Adam will also fall upon all of humanity. There were four different provisions, four different people or entities that God addressed the provisions of this covenant. The serpent, Satan, Eve, and Adam. On this video, we'll cover serpent, Satan, and Eve. And on the next short video, we'll cover Adam. The serpent is covered in Genesis chapter 3, verse 14, and there are three provisions. First, he is cursed above all other creatures of the animal kingdom. Now, all creatures now fall under the curse, but there is a special curse for the serpent. Normally, animals are not held morally responsible for their actions. However, if it causes any kind of harm to man, then it will be held responsible. You can read that in Genesis chapter 9, verse 15. Animals were created for the benefit of man, and when the principle is violated, then that animal would incur a judgment. Secondly, the serpent was to crawl on its belly. Now, this would lend itself to think that perhaps that a serpent had legs or was able to slither around in an erect position rather than on its belly. And now with this judgment in this covenant, the serpent is now to crawl on its belly. Third is that the serpent would eat dust. Now, Bible critics have had their field day with this for years, and we all know that serpents do not eat dust, but this is more of an idiom in Hebrew, which essentially means that the serpent will be especially cursed. You might want to look at Micah chapter 7, verse 17. This curse will also continue on throughout the Messianic age, and you can look at that in Isaiah chapter 65, verse 25. The second entity dealt with in this covenant would be Satan, and there are four provisions in relationship to Satan. The first is that there would be a perpetual hatred between Satan and the woman. Secondly, this hatred will culminate between Satan's seed, who of course is going to be the Antichrist, and the seed of the woman, who is the Messiah. Now, the word Messiah means the one who saves. In Hebrew, that would be Mashiach. Some say HaMashiach, that would be the Messiah. In Greek, it would be Christ. So the word Christ and the word Mashiach and the word Messiah, all synonymous in different languages, and that's a title. That's a title. Third is the serpent would bruise the heel of the woman's seed. This happened, of course, on the crucifixion. We know that the Messiah who was crucified some 2,000 years ago was bruised and affected, and that was the fulfilling of the prophecy of the serpent bruising the heel of the woman's seed. Fourthly, the first prophecy of the Lord's victory over Satan goes on to say in that the woman's seed would crush the head of Satan. And we know, of course, that the only way that you can destroy a serpent, a snake, is by cutting its head off. You'll notice that if you were to read Hebrews chapter 2, verses 14 and 15, this is covered under that. That happened essentially overcoming Satan during the resurrection. The resurrection is what overcame death and overcame Satan. The final crush of Satan is still in the future, and that was written by the Apostle Paul in the book of, or the letter to the Romans, in Romans chapter 16, verse 20, and also Satan is cast into the lake of fire. You can read about that in Revelation chapter 20, verse 10. So the main point of this prophecy is that the Messiah would be of the seed of the woman. Now that goes against a lot of the norm that is taught about genealogy, and that it goes that genealogy is traced through the male line, not the female line. But centuries later, when Isaiah was doing his writings inspired by God, in the 7th chapter, 14th verse of Isaiah, it reveals that the Messiah will be conceived and born of a virgin. And so the prophecy in Genesis 3:15 led to the events of Genesis 6 verses 1 through 4, where when Satan tried to corrupt the seed of the woman, and will lead to the future supernatural conception of the Antichrist. Now, the third entity that we'll discuss on this tape is the woman. Of course, that would be Eve, and all other women were made subject to 3 provisions. First, that they would have pain and difficulty during childbirth. Apparently, prior to this, childbirth would have been an easy task. Secondly, that the woman would have birth pains. However, we know that after that pain, once childbirth takes place, that there's great joy, and that's covered in the Gospel of John, chapter 16, verse 21. And thirdly, the wife is to be subjected to the husband, and this was already true before the fall of man, but there's a new element that she would now have a desire to rebel against that subjection and choose to try to rule over him. So that covers that portion of this covenant, the covenant made with Adam, and the balance of the information of the Adamic covenant will be on the next short video. Thank you.